Hey Scott. Hey
Hey,
Jamie. How you doing, Jamie?
Andy, I'm just hunky dory.
Oh,
Hey, it's party time. The market's at all-time highs.
mm-hmm. How about that? Yeah, we finally kind of broke out of that funky range we're in. We'll see what kind of oomph it has behind it. But yeah, it's nice to come in here and get to talk about something when we're doing the market recap, other than here we are again.
Now, the most important question, Andy. Of course, I don't watch CNBC, so I don't know. But did they have their little party with their party hats and do all
You
that
know what,
stuff?
Jamie? I no longer watch it either. There's only so much I can take of those talking heads. Yeah, and yeah, but I'm sure they did.
I'm
I'm sure
sure
they
that
did.
you can bet on it. You can bet on it.
All right, guys. Well, hello, traders, and welcome to my desktop here. And we're glad that everybody took the time out of their day to join us. And I think you'll find it very rewarding. We're going to have some cool stuff to present to you today, and it's not just for the open housers. I got a little nugget to share with those regulars in here that's been so true to us over the years, coming to these webinars. And uh, so anyway, without mentioning any further, let me just go ahead and take care of some legal issues. Once again, guys, this is our disclaimer. We are educators here. We are content publishers. This is for educational purposes only. Okay, so nothing you see or hear today should be construed as investment advice. If that's what you're seeking, you better look for one of those RIAs or a licensed broker. But we do have some cool stuff to show you, and something that can help your trading immensely. So with that out of the way, let's get onward with our agenda today. We're going to talk about the market recap, as we always do. Talk a little bit about all the major indexes and where they came from and where they may be going. Uh, and we're also going to talk about Holly recap today. Not as spectacular today as we've seen over the first 3 days of our open house, but nonetheless a positive day by Holly recap, and some really nice trades in there, I think. And then Jamie will, like I said, he will take the reins there and recap that for us. He does a really good job of that. And then I'm going to, I want to spend some time, because I know we have a lot of people in here that are testing out our software for the first time. And my last webinar, I went over TI out of the box, and I hope a lot of you guys caught that, just showing you what you can do when you first get the software, how you can go through the channels, how you can do a quick, build a quick alert if you like. And today I'm going to show you, how easy it is to build a layout, and we will actually do that here today. And there will be some cool alerts we put in there as well, so that'll be fun. It'll show you guys, how easy it is to build yourself a default layout. And I'll talk about the Holly channel as a template, or another template that you might want to use, and the migration of windows from the channel over to your default window. We'll talk about that. And then the little nugget I'm going to have for anybody, I think I share a lot with, anytime I have a session with somebody, I try to share my pre-market layout, which is a little more sophisticated than the channel pre-market layout. Has a few more bells and whistles in it. So I think you guys, if you hang around, would like to get that. So with that said, Jamie, let me bring down this, and let's pull this market out and let's talk about it here. So
Sounds good.
uh, yeah, we will start like we always do with the spiders. And if it pulls up here for me. And you can say the last several days we've kind of been in a range, holding above this line that we talked about. I know Steve has been going over it in his webinars, and also on Monday with Jamie. Just holding above this all-important line here that we broke out of, came back through, and then popped back above. Well, today, as you can see, pretty much right at the open. I'm not going to, just have to trust me on this. If you didn't watch the market today, the spiders pretty much opened up. Well, actually, the candle will show you this. Pretty much open right at the top of this range, and then as soon as it broke through and took out the pre-market highs, it was off to the races. Pretty much. I'll just do it this way. Here's a 15-minute chart of the spiders, and you can see here the pre-market high opened up, took out, and then the algos kicked in. You can see the volume coming in, and just kind of off to the races. So definitely I would consider it to be a risk-on day. Anytime you're taking out all-time highs, the path of least resistance, because there is no resistance. It's just a guess, you don't want to try to fade, stuff like this, because you're just totally guessing on where it's going to stop, because there's no points of reference, okay? There's no pivot levels. There's no resistance. So the market, like a river flowing, downstream, it's the path of least resistance, which is up, and that's what we got here today. And we can pretty much, pull up, the diamonds here, same scenario there. The Qs, and if I say not quite as pronounced in the Qs, but remember the Qs have been leaders lately. They had a big run, so I think it was some catch-up going on. Let's take a look at the IWM and see how it did today. Let me put it back on the daily here. Let's go back to my daily time frame. And let's take a look at the IWM. I was tracking it earlier in the morning, but then I got too busy and kind of, so yeah, decent move, nowhere near its highs going back over here. But let me put back on my crosshairs. So you got your highs over here, because still a ways from its all-time highs in the IWM. So that is the only indice that really didn't take out, and which is the smaller caps. So it's been, and Jamie actually pointed this out, and he noticed a lot on one of his alerts that he has. There's a lot of stuff going into big caps right now. So a lot of money being put to work in the big caps. So. That's like Steve was talking to him today on Instant Messenger, and he was a little frustrated with the trade of the weeks, and I'm saying, well, I can see what's happening here. We have a lot of kind of obscure mid cap and small cap in there, and the money was just flowing into the big caps, and I've seen that in the Qs as well. So they'll have their day in the sun, I'm sure, if we keep going higher. So, but anyway, JB, there's not a whole lot to talk about as far as where we may be going, because we're breaking out to all-time highs. So you have no references. I mean, you just go until it runs out of juice, out of momentum, and then if it does try to retrace, we could draw another line, mark it up right here. So now we kind of broke out of this level. So that's probably the level that the bulls would like to see it hold. Otherwise, we could get back into another range, which we've been kind of doing, now for several weeks. But nonetheless, boy, just very strong. Jamie, do you have anything you would like to add to this?
It is. It's funny because, obviously these patterns that we're seeing right here on the SPY, these are the ones that we all look for, or I'd say a lot of us look for these patterns, these breakout patterns, and now the whole market is doing it, right? So, buckle up. It's going to be an interesting. Well, we go into Friday tomorrow. We all know how Fridays typically work, but next week will surely be interesting. One thing that could be a guarantee is a little volatility. Now, if we kind of get sleepy and go sideways for a little bit, I won't have any qualms with that either, because in this last 4 days we can see there, we've been tweaking and tweaking the AI, and this week Holly's just been on a tear, so this little trading range, she's definitely been dialed into it, and I would not mind more of the same action that we had this week, next week.
Yep.
So of course, we're not here to speculate, just react, but things are getting hot in the kitchen, so to speak.
Very much so. Thanks for your input, Jamie. One thing that I did a while back, guys, a lot of times when I get a couple of points of reference, I like to draw a trend line. I did this when I had 2 points, 1 point being right here and another one being right here. And as you can see, the trend line has been holding on this whole move. Bounced off it right there, bounced off it right there, bounced off it. So 5 times now, 5 points of references. You got a very solid trend line developing now in the Spiders Daily. So if you're not using our charts and you are using your execution platform charts, you might want to draw this trend line, because it's pretty pronounced right now. So this might be a level as we continue higher to watch if we do get a pullback, to see if it can hold that trend line. Trend line, I love working with trend lines. So, because I noticed if they do, a lot of algos, are very aware of this. When they do break, you could get, you get some pretty good movement, to the downside. But that's an area I would definitely keep an eye out for. All right, Jamie, that is pretty much going to wrap it up, guys. The market is very bullish tape. Don't fight it, even if it doesn't make sense. You know, is it justified? With who knows? Probably not, but it doesn't matter. Okay, it's moving higher, so don't fight the tape. And with that said, Jamie, I think I'm going to let you talk about Holly now.
Well, that sounds fine to me. I will switch over here, so just let me know when you can see my screen. How about now?
I got it.
All right, perfecto. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we go into Holly's plays for today, just want to pull over a little chart here. As we can see over here on the left, you know, these are the previous days. I mean, look at the green over this week and the end of last week. I mean, Holly has been on a consistent little alpha generating party here. And as we can see over here, nice widening gap still between her performance and the SPY. All right, so here we go. For those of you who might be new, okay, what we're seeing here, we're seeing the strategy panel here, which is referred to as the AI panel. So, just so you know, you can access that by clicking on the Holly channel, which it pulls up a layout just for watching Holly. Or we can always spawn a new AI window just from coming down here and hitting the new AI button, and then we can get that panel to pop back up. So this container holds all the strategies that made the cut for today. And if we want to get that trade blotter up, we can right-click right here and just say View All Trades. And that's what generates this little guy right here. So as long as you've got these guys, and you know, of course, some people choose to split this up into open and closed trades. Of course, we can derive that data, whether the trade is open or closed, just by looking at the exit reason here. If you see an exit reason, the trade is closed, and this is why she exited. If this field is blank, the trade is still open. All right, so I'm just going to resort by the number, excuse me, the number of trades up here. And we can see Holly was not overly active today, but kicked out about 15 trades. Right, we're right at 15 trades here among all of these strategies. Now, what's nice about this is we had a nice even distribution from all the strategies that actually contributed today. So we had 8 strategies make the cut after the analysis last night. 3 shorts and the rest were longs. We got a little action out of one of the shorts today, but we can see after everything was said and done, a little bit of profit. Now on a day like today, no big surprise there. So before we move on to the individual trades and talk about some of the specific techniques that we can use to interact with Holly, just want to give everybody that's new kind of the lowdown of what's going on. You know, why did these strategies show up today? Well, Holly analyzes a bank, and this bank of strategies is constantly fluxing between 45 and 50 what we call base strategies. Now, these base strategies on a 40-day backtest, they look very favorable. In other words, most of them are winning over 50% of the time with a nice ratio between average winner and loser, but they're extremely huge sets. Some of these strategies might have 40,000 trades coming through in a 40 trading day period. Well, that's way too big for us to manage. So what Holly does, after we import all of the tick data for today into our database, Holly's going to attack that strategy base of hers, and she's going to start upon the task of optimizing and backtesting, or I should say that the other way around, backtesting and optimizing to see if she can improve them. And she'll do this many, many times for each strategy. And only the strategies that make the minimum score on the proprietary scoring system that we've developed for this system will make the quote-unquote starting team for tomorrow. Today it was these guys. Tomorrow you might see some of the same strategies show up, or you might see all new ones. But you know, there's a huge amount of heavy lifting on the data side that's going on every night, and that's what basically dictates what's going to show up for the next day. So we never know, that process is usually done, I don't know, sometimes it lasts until about 2 hours before the market. That's how much heavy lifting is being done. But in any case, it's always there a couple hours before the open at least. All right, so here we can see this win percentage column. Now, these were our expectations coming into the session. On the 40-day backtest, this is how all of these strategies backtested. So we know the statistical weight behind every play that comes out of every strategy just by glancing here. Now, the interesting thing about today, the rest of this week and the last part of last week, we've seen strategies overperforming. We can see here today that this little group of 3 strategies underperformed today, and this guy overperformed. So we also show you how the strategy did for today, which today is not like all the others, but hey, that's what happens. But lots of good opportunity from the plays that Holly generated, assuming you know what to look for. So let's talk about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Holly's blotter here, and I've already sorted it by risk on profit. Now, if you check out this little graph over here, here's how Holly did from the open as she tacked on positions and as the day progressed. Now that's risk on today, or now we're looking at risk off. So just to clarify here, people sometimes get in their head they have to pick risk off or risk on before the session even starts. Well, there's no way to know that. And risk off is simply Holly obeying all of her trade rules, and risk on is what happens if we hold the stock. Now, today the arrow definitely points to a risk on day. As Andy said earlier, anytime you have this train leaving the station pattern, and that's a phrase that Steve Gomez coined. When we look here, it's busted out. We've got this action today, not much of a back off, so the train definitely seems to be leaving the station. Now, if we examine the risk off column compared to the risk on column, and I have to tell a little story here to help solidify this point, and that is, number one, Holly just turned 1 year old at the beginning of January, if my memory serves me correctly. So Holly just turned 1, and when we gave her her birthday, when she first came online, we had 3 reasons. There were 3 reasons why Holly would exit a trade. Profit target was triggered, stop loss was triggered, or the timed hold that we've established, and we can see that right here. All of these strategies were designed around these hold times. So if Holly hasn't been stopped out or the profit target hit, she'll exit when that time expires. So what would happen is Holly would be up nicely in a position, but none of those factors are triggered, and then the profit would erode and turn into a negative, and then the time stop comes out, she's like, oh, I'm going to do my job and exit for a nickel loser or a dime loser when she could have profited 50 cents. So we're like, well, okay. We will give her the ability to exit a profitable position if she feels like it. Now there's an algorithm that dictates that, and we won't go into the boring details. But if the stock gets a little bit volatile, she'll exercise her profit save functionality. So looking at this exit reason column, let's take a look at this first trade right here. And this is a perfect example of taking the mystery out of whether you should go risk off with Holly or go risk on. So when we double click from the trade blotter, and let me just pull this over here a little bit and expand. Okay, so now we're looking at GPI. When I double clicked here, your TI chart is automatically going to populate with all the metrics that are important to you. The entry price, which is the blue box over here. So let's just draw a line by right clicking and drawing a horizontal line there so we can, nice reference point. The red box is your stop loss. It goes down here, get out. And of course, this is just where the stock currently is, the green box. So let's pretend that at this point in time in the market, we get this signal from Holly, and the strategy that generated the plays bullish trend change. So we can see right here, coming into the session, nice statistically weighted entry, 63.9%. And we can see if you would have bought it up here, taken a little pull back down to here, continues to stay in this channel until about right here. So always like to use the 200 share example for easy math purposes, right? We know it's statistically weighted, as we can see that here. We can see where the stock closed the prior day and where it opened today. And now it's just kind of hugging this little area right here, what we might call a consolidation. We could also call this an NR7 pattern as well. But you can see by drawing these two lines here, the entry price here just happened to kind of correspond with what we call a range break since the open. So the low of the stock was down here when it put in there. Then the stock goes range bound between the high and the low. So you get a nice little coiling range bound stock. Then we get a statistical weight here. Let's say we pile into a couple hundred shares. Get profitable maybe or back off down a few cents. But then it tries for the third time and it gets traction and it continues, right? So we've got 200 shares. And now we're waiting for Holly to tell us what to do. So we can see here, and where did my exit time go? Thought I just put it up, but this is a good example to show you. I have my entry time, but I need my exit time. How do I get that column? Well, we just right click, we go to columns, find exit time, push it over. Now I can drag this guy over here. Okay. So, Holly's strong suit, before we examine this very short hold time here, Holly's strong suit are her statistically weighted entries. That's what she specializes in. She's not the best at getting out of a trade. And see, that's where our human eyes and our chart reading and our technical abilities we can really enhance the performance of Holly if we get used to this methodology. So Holly gets in at 8:07 and 40 seconds, and she gets nervous at 8:11, exits for profit save, books a whopping 9 cents. Okay, so let's see, 8. So she basically exited somewhere right up in here. Now, if we're in the trade with Holly, now of course this all is going to be predicated on your experience. For myself, for Steve, for Andy, for Dan, Brad, anybody that interacts with the software and has helped develop it, then when we see something like this, we like it because, number one, we're talking about a range break since the open, which is a favorite among many traders out there because, number one, it's simple and it's easy to identify. The stock's popping above these lines that we drew, according to the highs and lows. So I've got statistical weight. And then I might notice it's breaking out of that range. So I'm thinking this is a fantastic trade while Holly's going, oh, it started getting jittery up here. I'm going to close it. So either way is fine, though, because the best way to do this is to do a little bit of both. So you're in the trade. You're like, hey, it's working great. Holly's like, I'm getting out. And you're like, oh, okay, all right. Tell you what, Holly, I'm going to do this. I'm going to peel out of my first 100, and I'm going to go with you on risk off. But I'm going to hold my other 100. I'm going to give that 100 back to either break even or whatever you feel you're willing to risk on that trade. The goal is to make money. So if you did make 9 cents on the first one and the trade folded back over and you flatted the other one, you still took something out of it. In this case, you would have taken 9 or 10 cents perhaps on the first 100 lot, and then boom, up here you have the potential to exit for much more. But see, you deciding to stay in the trade is you going risk on. You're taking a little bit more risk because you're staying in the trade, but no risk, no reward. Andy, is that on the money or what?
Yes. Yes, I thought you were going to say no guts, no glory, but go ahead.
You know, no risk, no reward, of course. Familiar with that. Okay, so this is a great example of you liking the trade and going, hey, I'm gonna I'm gonna get out of half with Holly, or sometimes you're like, there's no reason to get out of this trade. I'm holding my whole lot because it's a great trade. If I would have stumbled onto this trade without Holly, I would still like it. But fortunately for me, Holly's there bringing things like this to our attention, and it is starting to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day in these Holly recaps because it's the same thing over and over. Those are the easiest things to pick up on. Of course, I don't like to use easy with trading most of the time, but it's just about repetition, 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 and you're being fed extremely high quality data. A lot of people out there, my heart goes out to them because they struggle, they struggle, they struggle, and they're, number one, they're not focusing on the same thing, and they just keep shifting around to all kinds of different things, so they never really get to, get their neurons in their brain, entrenched on one repeatable thing that actually is quality oriented. So the quality here is coming from the statistically weighted entries. All right, so that was a great example of risk on. Now, check out this next little guy that came from the strategy float on, AKAO. So we'll pull this guy up. Now, you can see here, we've got a 9-cent loss, but there was 53 cents in that trade. So once again, let's do the same thing here. So 1985 was the entry point. And while I'm drawing this line, I'll say this. When Holly produces a play, the statistical viability is good for the day, not just for that one occurrence. Now, what I'm trying to get into here is the fact that sometimes they go immediately, like the previous trade, or they bounce around for 10 minutes and then go. This one, a little bit different of a play. However, remember, Holly's giving you the framework for every trade. So, if this is the entry, 1960 was the stop loss. Why do we have stop losses? To know when to get out. For wrong. So we can see here, Holly gets into the trade, and then we've got this retrace. Right? Now, did it stop us out? Nope, did not. However, the reduced risk pretty much acts as the same thing as the profit save, which, Holly will do it, but that's not her strong suit. So Holly gets nervous thinking that this thing's going to go down and stop her out, so she's like, I'm going to go ahead and get out for my 9-cent loser. Now, whether she gets stopped out or goes reduced risk, or maybe she's still in the trade and it's just red and she hasn't closed it out, she's just sitting a little wiggle. So anytime we interact with Holly through the entry point and that thing backs off a little bit on you, get in the habit of doing this. Anytime, whether you're in the position or not, as soon as you see Holly in the red, go up and set a price alert for that entry one more time, which in this case we just have to right click and say create the price alert. That way you will be notified of the second, third, fourth entry, because if you haven't been stopped out, just like the other one was hugging the line, this one's just hugging it a little further out. So the stop out never occurred, the trade is still viable, and on the second occurrence is when it just keeps on going. So if you get familiar with this little process right here, imagine if you got into a couple hundred with Holly, set the little wiggle, you're like, nope, sticking to my stop loss. Then when it comes back up through here, tack on some more. If you did, you got this, and you could have really, parlayed this entry here into, a nice little winner. So this is an example of a trade around when we see Holly negative in a position, and we just set some price alerts by right-clicking so that we're notified to maybe the second, third occurrence. One occurrence here, two, and off to the races. All right, and this last guy right here, there's actually two more left, one of each. CSGS, another example of a good trade around because she did the same thing. 39.34 right here. So once again, I love seeing these plays here because this little micro consolidation hugging the entry line, the more I see these, the more I like them. It didn't go immediately, but it really did hug that line. Now, the more and more familiar you get with these, this will just come second nature. Let's say you popped into 100 with Holly here, get a little bit of skin in the game, something to track. Doesn't matter if it's 100 shares, $1,000 worth, whatever. You just get a little skin in the game, and you're like, this thing's, it spiked up to here, and now I'm just in it. It's going sideways. What should I do? Well, the thing about range breaks, and of course this was the first one here, but I'm just doing this to illustrate. This was way before the Holly signal, but we have a range break right here. Boom. Take a breather. We have yet another one that coincides with the entry price, and then if we draw a line off the high of that wick up there, then we're consolidating in the range again, and look what happens here. Another opportunity, another range break as that position starts to solidify and move in the direction that we want it to. So just by drawing some horizontal lines, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's support and resistance on the daily to try to find out, well, what are the expectations that we might have, or doing it on the intraday chart, these lines can, give you a great deal of information, and they're simple. So another trade around example of Holly there, because she got out of the position for a 2-cent loser, but look, the stop loss, let's not forget about it, that's what it's designed for. This was our stop loss. We never even came close to it. All right, and lastly, Mighty Mouse hasn't been showing up that much. I'm glad to see it making the rounds again. It kicked out this little TCS right here, and boy, not a big mover, but man, what a beautiful, beautiful pattern to be placed in front of mine and everybody else's eyes today. A nice little entry right at the whole number. Of course, we could talk a lot about whole numbers, but I'll have to save that for another day. So really, really like this signal because the range break had already occurred, which that's okay too because it wasn't really that much, wasn't that far away. So, of course, this is me describing this trade, so I'm like, ooh, beauty, right? I'll take a stab at this one with Holly, and then we get the same type of action, right? We're in the position right up here at 4 at the whole number. Go to sideways action. If we take that little high, it popped right there after we got into it. Draw a line straight across. Look. Not too long after that, another range break, and then boom, off to the races. So if you get familiar with this, you can really leverage these Holly plays and capture that alpha that's hiding in the cracks that you can't necessarily see in any report or any column here. So while Holly on risk on only showing $1.42, by getting familiar with this technique and applying it and maybe adding to your position on some of these winners, you could have made significantly more than this today. And once again, when I'm talking about adding to positions, and nobody's immune from this because when you're new, you just don't have as much information. You're like, well, I was in a good trade, but it went higher. How would I have known to add to that position? And by getting used to, seeing these types of patterns and these nice clean breaks, those are great times to add to positions once you're already in it and identified the buyer. We're in it here. Buyer takes a little break. When it cracks through here, opportunity time. So, two very good examples of trade arounds and going risk on. And, we talk about these all the time, so the more you repeat it, the clearer things are going to become over time. And that's really about it for Holly today.
Yes.
Nice
very well done. Yeah, very well done, Jake.
performance, and, We'll see what she cranks out tomorrow. So, Andy, I hear you cooked up something special for all the brand
Well,
new people.
oh
Yeah.
well, yeah, a couple of things. Yeah, I do because I know when I do my sessions, there's a vast majority of them do not have a default layout yet. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to help those who do not have one, show them how to create one. I'll be putting also some cool alerts in there, and do not worry, I will actually share my alerts. What I'll end up doing is sharing my whole default layout, so you can actually gather and get those alerts from it. But I do want to start from scratch, just kind of like I did with TI out of the box. So I think I still have that. Let's see if I find it, and there it is. Nope, there it is. Okay, we talked about when you get this software, a lot of times all you're going to find is a little toolbar up in the corner. And real briefly, I'm going to go over for some of you guys who just may have signed up yesterday and are still kind of having problems, with it real quick and what to do. You can just hit this new tab and go to channel bar. And once you have up a channel bar, you can go click on any one of these channels, and you're going to find alerts, charts. They're designed. You can go to social media. There's Alpha Predator. You can go to social media. I'm not going to get into this, guys, because I covered a lot of this last time. I really want to spend the remaining time on what to do and how to build a default layout. So what I'd like to do is these channels can be really used for templates. And since you all have access to Holly right now, and hopefully when you do sign up, you're going to stick with Holly. I don't know why you wouldn't with what she's been spitting out lately and the performances she's been having. But so what we're going to do is we're going to build a default layout. And I don't know what it is about this webinar, but for some reason I get this incredible latency for some reason during this webinar. But anyway, hopefully we can get through this. So what I'm going to do is this is a default layout. It's going to be a default layout. Right now, this is the Holly channel. And what I like about it, you have two linked charts with all your symbols, and you also have your static spider chart over here that remains. You can see as I click on symbols, that one does not change. So it's a way you can kind of keep your eye on the market as you're trading, and you still have two, charts linked with all your alert windows. So what I like to do is I like to pull down. Well, first of all, you're going to find is more as you use the Holly AI that you really don't need a separate close position and an open position window because you can actually combine them into one window. I'm going to show you how to do that. Right now, it's probably good. It's easy for you to track, but I'm just going to show you what you can do if you don't want, and you only want one window. You can just right-click in here and hit View All Trades. Okay, it's going to pop up, and all you really need to do is sort by entry time. So now, this jacked up there. Okay, so now you have combined in one window, and you can sort by entry time, the earliest being on the bottom, the most recent being on top. So as your windows are scrolling, and stocks are coming in here, new trades are coming in here, the most recent ones are going to be on the top. So after you do that, you can just close out these other two windows. You can bring the strategy window down here next to this. And what I like to do, what I do not like about our AI window, I like to see the percent winnage. Jamie, we should change that. You notice that that's not in the default, the winning percentage when you pull up the channel. And I definitely like to see that. So let me get that over there. Yeah, the winning percentage, there it is. And
yeah, we've been reading a lot of them. That's probably just something that slipped through the cracks.
yeah, I think so. I'll probably let Brad know about that. And you definitely want the profit factor as well. Because that's something when you pull up your default window, you want to see in the morning. You want to see the winning percentage, and you want to see the profit factor. And of course, the strategies. You don't need a whole lot of detail right when you come in the morning. That's the main stuff you want to see, is what's out there, and that way you'll have more room for your your trades that are going off. You put actually more columns in this if you like. Okay, these two right here, I'm not a big fan. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't, but I don't think it's a necessity. A single stock window you can actually, pull up on the fly if you want to see it. But I kind of like to use this template right here. And now what you can do is you can grab 4 alerts, top lists, whatever you want to use, and kind of fill up the space here as you build your default window. And what I'm going to do is just pull up some of my 4 favorite ones. And if you do not have access to these guys, don't hit me up about sharing them, because what I will do at the end of this is I'll share this whole default layout, so you'll have access to all the alerts and windows I put in here. But let's go in here and just load from cloud. There's 2 ways to load from cloud. You can go to File, Load from Cloud, or you can just click on My Cloud, and it'll pull it up. So I'm going to search for extreme volume, high-low. Okay, say that you got this from somebody, it's in your cloud, or maybe you got it from Barry's room. Maybe you created it on your own. I'm hoping some of you guys are working with these windows and starting to build some of your own, but I know it may be a little bit too early for that, so that's why we share some of our better ones with us. Now, I don't have time to go over each one of these guys, unfortunately, today, so forgive me, we just don't have the time. This is a multi-strategy window. If I do click in it, you're going to see, let me pull it back over so you can see. You're going to see this is extreme volume to the upside and extreme volume to the downside. The upside volume is color-coded green. This is color-coded yellow. If you want to get a history, I'm just going to uncheck real time. There's a shortcut to way to do that. It'll start loading in there and pulling up all the history. So you can kind of see what it looks like during the day with the green and yellow. So I'm just going to slide that one right up there, and we're going to start building our default layout. Okay, another one. Let's Alpha Predator, very popular top list. So let's pull up Alpha Predator. You just double click on them. You actually don't have to highlight them in load. Just double click on them. It's fine enough. And we're going to stick that bad boy right in there. So we're on our way to building a nice default layout. Okay, another one. Let's pull up. Let me see what it is. I definitely want to do my pullback. Somebody asked about swing trading. This is a very good swing trading top list. And I will stick this one right here. Once again, apologize for not being able to go into detail. You guys can take a look at this. It is a top list that sets up some pretty good. Real quickly, I'll try to find one here, which is decent here. It's something like this: a stock that recently is on took out it's in a bullish trend. Maybe took out a recent high and is pulling back on the 5-day time frame, and then putting in what I call a setup bar. Okay, so this is a pretty good little swing trading top list to keep an eye on. A couple of more here. Let's put in option play magic is a good one. This one actually can, to me, in my eyes, can be used as a swing trading one or a intraday momentum trading a multi-strategy window. Once again, it has 2 strategies in it. Actually, you're going to see a lot of strategies in it if I go and show you, but the 2 important ones I have checked. Okay, the downside movers are going to be in orange colored, and the upside movers are going to be in green, and this one is one that tracks option volume. And let's find one more to stick in there, and maybe I'll just go through my list here and find it, and we will put it in there. And mine's being slow here. Let me find something. I'm going to put do consecutive red candles. I kind of like that one. And where'd it go? It's on the screen over here. Excuse me. Grab this. Okay. So this is a strategy that looks for consecutive 5-minute candles. So if I pull up this IDTI that came across today, you can see where this one went off. Look at this. Alert went off on IDTI, 5 consecutive candles, and look at that beautiful reversal there. So it's looking for something that's oversold. You know, it's been selling off for at least 5 consecutive 5-minute candles, and it's a kind of a contrarian play, which it can be a nice little tool. And what I like about it, it has a really good risk reward because you kind of can define your risk because it's already in extremely oversold condition. So if it's not going to bounce, you know, something's wrong and you want to get out anyway. Wish I had more detail to go into this, guys, but maybe on another webinar. So anyway, here's what we did just in a matter of basically 10 minutes, guys. We have just built a really good layout right here. You got some charts. You really don't need this much space for your spiders, so if you wanted to do that and make these a little bit longer, a little wider, you can give you a little more charts for your ones that are linked. So that's the way to do it. Now, what you want to do when you get a default layout, okay, I'm not going to do this because I already have one. I just built this one for you guys. But say you wanted you've done this, you built your default layout, you have to make sure you go in here, go to File, go to Save Layout on the server, not to your cloud. You can actually save it in the cloud. That's great, especially if you want to get on your laptop at some point and pull it up. You need to save it to the cloud. So I would save it in both places, but you definitely want to save it to your server. And what you want to do is highlight default layout and then hit Save. Once again, I'm not going to do this because I already have a default layout and I don't, and I like the one that I have. This is one that I just built. Now what I'm going to do, since I'm not going to save it, what I'm going to do is I am going to save it to the cloud and share it with you. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to put it in the chat window, guys. So if you find that chat window and grab it, hit the little icon that expands the window out so you'll be able to see it better. And what I'm going to do is take this and go File, Save or Share to Cloud. I'm going to call this, you can call it, I'm not going to, let's see, I'm going to call it webinar layout. And then if you grab it and this is the one you want, you can make this your default layout. But you'll know when you see it that this is the one you got from me in this webinar. So I'm going to put it webinar layout. I'm going to do entire layout, and I'm going to save and share. And then I'm going to copy all, and I'm going to put it right in that chat window. Okay. Okay, so it is in there, guys. So you have this default layout now if you choose. And not only that, you have access to all the alerts that I just put in there. Now, what you want to do, since each alert is saved in your layout, you might want to still grab them, take them, right-click, save or share to cloud, and just hit save, and that will save each one of them to your layout. But now you just built the default layout in 10 minutes, and you're ready to go and start trading. So it's really that easy, because once you get a default layout, you're going to find yourself, using it a lot, going to a pre-market layout, and then going to your default layout and trading throughout the day, and then jumping over here and checking obviously what's in our channels. We got some cool stuff in there. So say you wanted to pull something over from, I did want to talk about this. Say you like something in, what do I want to do? Volume. Volume radar is a really nice one. You could grab this and you can save it to the cloud, and now it would be in your cloud. So just like I was pulling stuff out of my cloud and grabbing it over, you can go to your cloud now and find that volume radar that I just put in there. See, and then you could just pop it up and put it into your default layout. Okay, real quickly, guys, because I told all the regulars in here that I'm going to pull up my pre-market layout. And like I said, it has a few more bells and whistles than what we have on the pre-market channel for those of you who want to use it. Don't get me wrong, the one we have on the channel is great. It shows you, as a matter of fact, I incorporated a lot of that into mine. So I'm going to go to load layout. I'm going to pull up my pre-market layout. And I'm going to have to close out a few things because I have some other stuff that's actually on my other window over here. So I'm going to have to close those out. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, this is my pre-market layout. Okay, it has the up gappers and the down gappers, the same ones that you find in the channel bar pre-market layout. But it has a few extra bells and whistles. Okay, one of them is being this one right here. This is a pre-market actives. And we have it, as a matter of fact, Barry has this in his room as well. So it's sorted by float shares. So for you guys who like to play low floaters, it will show you in the pre-market, it's shorted by the float shares. Anything in blue is going to be less than 10 million shares in the float. So it kind of gives you an idea. You can short it to, you can change these and do whatever you want to them because these are your pre-market layout once I give it to you. Okay, this also has another extended version of gappers where I'm looking for bigger gaps. It has to at least be 4% of greater to the upside or 4% of greater or greater to the downside. And I have it sorted by gap, this last column over here. So if you see here, these are the biggest gaps up this morning, and they are descending. And as you come down here, you'll see, you can just scroll down and see the ones that are gapping down. So just kind of another little extra, gappers. These right here are alerts that are actually active. If I put it on history and put it on today, you're going to see that these are very active in the morning. The stock's hitting high in pre-market. So you see them not in a top list form, but actually in an alert fashion. So these are alerts, whereas these are all other ones are all top list. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take this and do the same thing with it. Okay, I'm going to go, just ignore that phone. It's my IP phone. I'm going to go, same thing, load, save the entire layout. I'm going to call this webinar pre-market. Okay, entire layout, save and share, copy all. And doing the same thing, guys, I'm going to drop this down in the chat window. And some reason, just bear with me. And now you have my pre-market layout. So now what you can do, once you grab that, guys, and you save it, as your pre-market layout, you want to do the same thing. You want to save it, on your server as well. And because remember, guys, getting back to your default layout, when you fire up your trade ideas in the morning, it's always going to pull up your default layout. Okay. So now once you get this, you can if you want to, you can go back and forth between the pre-market layout and your default layout, and then go throughout the channels throughout the day. You can kind of surf the channels, but always come back to your pre-market layout. So anyway, guys, I haven't been able to really look over there and see what kind of questions you guys are firing at. I'm going to have to leave it up to Jamie to field a lot of those. I hope you guys were able to get those two layouts. If you didn't, if anything, just be sure to send me an email. And for those of you who are watching the recording, if you obviously don't have access to it, if you want to send me an email at andy@trade-ideas.com, I'll be happy to send that to you. But with that said, we are getting short on time here, and what I'm going to do is let me pull back up the slide here and go over a few things, guys, for you guys who are still kicking the tires out there. Not only, guys, do we have incredible software here, you guys have seen the power, but our support and education is second to none. And it all starts in the trading room. I know we had a few issues with that, and we are ironing those out, guys, and won't have a problem with that in the future, I hope. But But other than that, we've been here for you. We've had we always have four trade webinars throughout the week, Monday through Thursday, in the same time slot. That is 5 Eastern. Uh, it's usually a combination of me, Jamie, Steve, and we do have one with Dan Merkin and Brad Williams on Wednesday. So same time slot, great information, great place to come to ask questions and get answers, and um, uh, just we really enjoy, helping you guys, educating you guys, helping train you guys, and it doesn't stop there, guys. When you do subscribe to Trade Ideas, okay, you're going to get a free one-on-one hour of power training. Okay, that's either with me, Jamie, or Steve. This hour is custom, made for you. When you come in there, we ask you questions: what kind of trading you like to do, how long you've been trading, how familiar you are with the software, and then we go from there, guys. We take it, we build custom alerts together. We do your default layout. We do a lot of time, and we talk a lot about trading. So it's it's a very powerful 1 hour is what it is, and it's amazing some of the people that what they have after they're done, they just can't believe what they've learned and how well they feel advanced now with the product. But that being said, time is up here. I'm going to bring Scott back in, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about what you can get what you can do with this product, and also talk about our podcast here.
Yeah, we recently.
Scotty, you there?
Yeah, thank you. We recently launched a podcast, and we're looking to invite you to enjoy it. There'll be a new episode up every Friday, so we'll have a new one up tomorrow as well. It's easy to find. Just go to your favorite podcast application that you use to listen to them and search for Trade Ideas Podcast. It should be listed in most. It's in iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, iHeart, TuneIn, a bunch of others. Of course, iTunes is probably the most popular, so just search for Trade Ideas Podcast and listen to the fresh one tomorrow and then the archives. We have a special code this week, and it's going to be good through Valentine's Day, giving a little bit more of a discount than we usually do. And actually, if you refresh your page there, Andy, I forgot to include something.
It's
20%. I just made a change there for you. Through February 15th, using that code LOVEHOLLY. I think if you hit a refresh there, it'll do that, or maybe I didn't update the right one. Anyway, so it is 20%, not 15%, even though you see that there and on the handout. But 20% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas Standard or Premium. Use the code LOVEHOLLY, just like you see it, all caps. And that code's good through the end of the day, February 15th. So it'll be in there through the end of Valentine's Day. So I want to thank everyone for attending. I want to remind everyone there will be a recording up later tonight. You'll get an email by tomorrow letting you know where to find that. Any questions at all, or if you're looking for one of the layouts or scans that Andy or Jamie were talking about, just go ahead and email us info@trade-ideas.com, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
There's your 20%. You're right.
No, I didn't have.
Yeah, for some reason it didn't refresh. Yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
It does that sometimes. But yeah, it's 20% this week because we're having the open house, and usually our discounts are 15 for premium and 10 for standard. So go ahead and make use of this higher discount while it lasts. You can follow Jamie at QuantBot on Twitter. Follow Steve Gomez, another one of our trainers, at Today Trader. If you follow us on Facebook, just like our page, you get the updates. It's facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro if you're on Facebook. That way you can see the new things we post there that's different than the other places we post things. Also, again, info@trade-ideas.com is the best place to ask questions. And the phone number is good during business hours on the West Coast if you need subscription help or billing assistance. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Jamie. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their open house. If you joined it after Monday, you still get 5 days of your open house. So even if you signed up yesterday before we turned off the sign-up time, you're still going to be able to have 5 market days of access. So you'll be enjoying that into next week if you signed up late. Thanks, everyone, for participating. Have a great weekend. If we don't talk to you until Monday, I'll see everyone in the webinar on Monday.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Bye.